In this tutorial, we show you how to create an easy scroll animation. By the way, this is not even rendered out yet, just showing you how it works. And just like that, you can animate this in any way you like. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, step number 1, select your default cube, press X to delete, then press Shift A, and we're going to use a mesh, not any mesh, but a plane. Press numpad 7 for top orthographic view, press tab, go into edit mode, and press GY-1, enter, tab, go into object mode. And now you can press S to scale this, Y on the Y-axis 1.5, S to scale this, X on the X-axis 1.3. And now we're going to add a modifier, and it's going to be a mirror modifier. Remove the X-axis, turn on the Y-axis, and there you have it. We've got the length of our scroll. The next thing you want to do is press tab, go into edit mode, hover your mouse on the edge here, press Ctrl R for a loop cut, and scroll up until you get 50 loop cuts. The bottom left hand corner of your screen, below the timeline, it shows how many cuts, number of cuts 50, left click, right click, we made 50 cuts. Tab, go into object mode, and now you have to go to edit, preferences, add-ons, and type in extra. And turn on add curve extra objects. If you turn it on successfully, when you press Shift A and go to curves, you have all these extra curves to choose from. Choose curves, spirals, torus. Open up the settings here. And there's a few things we want to change. So number 1, we want to reduce this radius over here to negative 0.05. We want to increase the cuts to maybe 5. We want to reduce the inner radius to 0 because it's not making it uneven. And now we might have to just play around with this until we get something we like. 6 is no good. 7's no good. 8. What happens when we make this 24? Nothing. Okay, well then let's make this 4 times 6, so I guess 4. I don't like that. 3 is more appropriate. That's the kind of shape I want. And I guess this would change if I increase this. Yes, it would. So if this is 50 and we made this 5 now, yeah, that makes sense. That's 10. So let's make this 4. It would look funny. So essentially, if I make this 60 and make this 5, I get a round enough shape. I'm quite happy with that. Then just change your radius to 0.2, and Bob's your uncle. We are done. Now you can press tab, go into object mode, press R to rotate this, Y on the Y-axis 90 degrees, numpad 3 to C, zoom in, press G, and just drop it over here for now. Press R, Z, 180, tab, go into edit mode, select this, only this point here, and press E to extrude, Y, lock it to the Y-axis, and let this touch the blue line. Nothing else should touch the blue line. Let's zoom in. GY, holding Shift for accuracy, and there you have it. Alright, so I'm quite happy with that. Press tab, go into object mode, press numpad 7. Let's select your plane, add a new modifier. It's a curve modifier. Now for this to work properly, we need to click this and lift the curve above the mirror, because the curve needs to work and then the mirror modifier needs to work afterwards. That's why we left it above. And we're going to select the spiral that we just created, and we're going to change the axis to negative Y. And if it's not working, that's fine. All you need to do is select this, Control A, apply. And do that with both, Control A, apply. Right click, shade smooth. And if you want, you could go to the modifier properties for the plane and click normals, auto smooth, but it won't do much because it should be fine. Now select your spiral, press GY, and there you go. We've got our scroll that's working. But what we don't have is the thing that holds our scroll, the handlebars. So now we can press Shift A, mesh. We're going to use a cylinder, press numpad 3, choose wireframe mode with X-ray turned on, and press R to rotate this, Y on the Y-axis 90 degrees, click, and then scale this in. G to grab, and make sure you put this in where the what you call it, the spiral is, not the mirror side. It has to be on the same side as the spiral, or else it won't work properly. Chuck it in like I have, something like that should be more than fine. And press numpad 7, press tab, go into edit mode, press G, X, and bring this in here, zoom in. G, X, bring it all the way in, hold in shift for accuracy, and click. Once you're happy with what you've done, you've made the center of the edge there, you can press 3 to choose face select and choose this face over here. Numpad 7, we're going to press G to grab, X on the x-axis and chuck it out to about here, and then press numpad 7, press E to extrude, and I'm going to keep this thin like that, and then go to the side here and press I to insert. Numpad 7, once again we press E to extrude, and we're just going to chuck it out to about there. And we're going to press Control B to bevel, something like that, and then we scroll up with the mouse wheel, and then we press Control R to create a loop cut here, and we click once, and then we bring this all the way up here, and then we press 3 to choose face select, and we press Alt and we select all these faces. Now the order of this really does matter, so we have to first, number 1, press E to extrude so it looks funny, S to scale extrude, and then press Shift X to only extrude on the Z and Y axis and not the X axis. So we're going to just chuck it to about here, and then you press 2 to choose face select and press Alt, select the other side, Shift Alt. Oh, start over, Alt, let me turn on solid view mode so I can see what I'm doing. Alt, Shift Alt, and select the other side, and then press Control B and scroll the mouse wheel to a rotation that you like. I'm quite happy with that. Right, the next thing I want to do is press 3 to choose face select and hold in shift and select every second face. You can go around this object and just select it. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to see the rotation as clear as day. And why not? Now I could have just used a gear, but I thought let's keep things simple for now. So you've selected each edge, change this to individual origin, and now if you just press E, you can pull it out like this, and then you can press S, you can scale it in, and if you want to make the tips beveled, you can just press Control B, and then S. There we go. I'm quite happy with that. The next thing you want to do is press Control R to create a cut here, bring it out to about here, press 3 to choose face select, press Alt and click on all these faces, which goes all the way in, and we want to scale this out. Obviously, to scale it out, you want to press E to extrude, S to scale, and then you want to press Shift X. And you don't want to touch the outer line, but the other lines are fine to touch. Click. Take a look around. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that for now. Press 2, Alt, select all this, Control B. There we go. Tab, object mode, right click, shade smooth, and go to the object data properties and auto smooth at 45. And yep, I'm quite happy with that. It's looking good. Now, importantly, let's put numpad 7. Importantly, what you want to do is right click, set origin to geometry. Or else you're going to run into problems and it won't work properly if you don't do that. So if you want, you can press Control A, apply all, and then right click, set origin to geometry. Now we can add what we can do is we can add a modifier, and it's going to be a mirror modifier. We're going to select the plane and we're going to make it go on the X and Y axis. And there you go. We've got this. It's looking good. Not so nice over here, but we'll fix that. And unfortunately, this isn't moving with so if we take this spiral and we press GY, it's not moving with it. So to get it to move along with it, we just select this. Let's create a new collection. Put the spiral in here and put the cylinder in here. You can rename this if you like. Select the spiral, shift, select the cylinder, spiral's light, Control P, object. Now the spiral is the parent. Now when we select the spiral, we press GY, it moves it. But it's not rotating. As you can see, the spikes aren't turning. So the way we fix that is we select this. We go to our object constraint properties, add a constraint, and we're going to use a transformation constraint. And we're going to press N, and we're going to go to items, and this is an important metric. But before we know whether it's working or not, we first have to press Control A, apply all, then right click, set origin to geometry. And we need to use this over here, the Z-axis, Control C. Once you've got the Z-axis selected, which the next thing you want to do is select this and choose spiral. You want it to be on extrapolate. We're going to use the local axes for both of this. And we want to say when we move the spiral along the Y-axis, we want this handlebar to rotate. So the way we do that is we're saying when the location of the Y-axis with a max of this, but this is not enough, we actually have to times this by pi, and to work that out all you have to do is press shift 8 for the time sign and type in pi, because I think, did I type it right? Yeah, because I think this was written in Python. Blender was written in Python. You just press enter and you got 1.55, and that's the perfect amount worked out for you. So when this is moving to a max on the Y-axis this way, we want the rotation of on the X-axis, the Y, to rotate negative 360 degrees. And now when we select the spiral and we press GY, look at that, it's working perfectly, which I'm quite happy about. So check, it's turning. Right, so now that that's working, the next problem we have is we can press GY and we can take it all the way off, or we can put it into each other, and that, for me, that kills the realism, so we want to fix that now. Alright, so now you need to select your spiral, go to the object constraint properties, add an object constraint, and we're going to choose limit location, because that's what we want to turn this all on. And what we want to figure out is, perhaps let's make this 1.5. I think it's the wrong direction, but we'll find out now. If we press G to grab this, it should only be able to move in one direction. Yeah, so it's the wrong direction. So leave this on 0 and make your minimum negative 1.5 and press G. And we probably want to have our maximum numpad 3. To about there. That's as close as we wanted. And I guess the maximum would be this. So I'm just going to paste it in. And let's see if it works. Now if you press G, you can only move it to those two specific spots, so it locks perfectly and it will always look great. Awesome. That's pretty cool. Now we can do one final thing here, because currently you might want to move this in different positions. So you can press Shift A. We're going to use an empty. Hold on. Deselect that. Shift A. And choose empty. And choose plane axis. Now, what you want to do is you want to select let's put your plane in here, your new empty in here. and you want to select your empty, and then shift, select your plane and your spiral. Control P, objects. Open this up, choose your spiral, press G to grab in all directions, and it still works perfect. But if you choose your plane now, not your plane, your empty over here, you can now rotate this in any direction that you desire, which is pretty dope. Anyways, let's chuck that. We're not done yet. Let's press Y. So let's press G. Hold on. Let's press G, Y. GY. We probably also have to add a constraint on this as well, but we'll and I think the constraint should be add constraint location, and I'm just going to add a constraint that you can't move the location for now, but you can still rotate this, so you can press R, Y. Okay, something like that would be perfect. And then we choose our spiral, G. Let's open this up. And now we want to add a material to this. So we're going to select this. And if whatever image you have, you can use it. Let's zoom out of here. I'm going to go to material view mode. I'm going to change this from a timeline to a shader editor, and I'm going to press new. And obviously if I change the color here, it should show up there. Perfect, so it's working. I'm going to press Shift A, search, image, texture, drop it over here, and I'm going to connect this. Alright, it's working. So now I press open, find an image you want to use. I am going to use, I don't know, I'll use this one over here. And you can see it's not exactly looking right. So with this selected, press Ctrl T. I'm assuming you got Node Wrangler installed, and we can adjust the rotation of this. So we might say, you know what, let's rotate this 90 degrees on the Z axis, and perhaps 90 degrees on the Y axis. Perhaps not. Let's try the Z axis. Perhaps not. Let's try 180 degrees. 270 degrees, and let's change the offset. So we'll leave this on 0 for now, and you kind of just have to play with this until you get the right position. Currently it's upside down, so I want to try and fix that. Alright, so this is a bit of a loss. So play around with this. I will see you once I'm found the right position. Alright, so I got the text to be in the right direction, but this mirror is kind of messing it up. So you want to go to your modifier properties and expand on your mirror modifier by choosing data here, and we have to play with these settings here, specifically this. And if we adjust this, we can try and crop it into one another if we do this right. So if I select that, it should look right. And you kind of just have to figure this out. It takes a little bit of time. Yeah, you'll get there. Alright, so with these settings over here and these settings over here, I've got the text to look and bleed in seamlessly. It's hard to tell where one starts and one begins. It's looking pretty good. And I've connected it to UV if you're wondering. So let's quickly open up a new window and change this to our UV editor, and select this, press tab, go into edit mode, select everything, and you can see everything is in here. And you could, it actually looks fine the way it is. You could adjust the size here by pressing SX. You can decide what you think is appropriate for the right thickness, but I think it works perfectly fine as is, to be honest. And if you notice, if you're in edit mode, the text seems to be the right way around, but if you press tab and go into object mode, it's the wrong way around. To fix that, it's really to do with which side is face up. Currently we're looking at the wrong side, so to get this face up, we just press R to rotate the plane, Y on the Y-axis 180 degrees, and there you go. It's looking perfect. And the next problem we're running into, let's minimize the UV. Yep. Next problem we're running into is that we're seeing the same message at the back, so we want to get rid of that. And the way we get rid of that is using a gradient texture. So we're going to press Shift A, and first we're going to go to color and use a mix RGB and connect this here. And I'm going to select this, Shift, well, I can actually just select all of this, doesn't really matter. Shift D, drop it here, and put this in the second one. And if I remove this, and I go to, well, it makes no sense to remove it yet. Let me just leave it back in for a second. Let's add the gradient first, or else it's not going to really work. Press Shift A, and go to textures and choose gradient texture. And then we're going to connect the color to the factor. In fact, instead of using a gradient texture, I've got a better idea. Let's press Shift A and let's use Shift A, geometry. Select geometry, and we are going to use back facing. And now, just like that, if we remove one of these images, it's removed from the one side. So now you can just choose a different image or color or whatever you want for the one side. So let's just choose, our Milky Way on the outer side, and it's done like that. And on the inside, we've got this link to this special tutorial series where I show you how to make the sun. Let's choose this over here and give it a quick material. New, I'm going to change this to glossy and make it gold, and just make it 0.15, and change this to render view. Turn on some render settings over here. If you want to increase the quality or slows down your rendering, this is completely overkill, but gives a much nicer looking result. And let's add an environmental texture to finish this off. You can go to HDR Haven to find environmental textures. I'm not using it. Let me use the Milky Way actually. I've got a tutorial on environmental textures if you want to know how to add them and where to find this space one. There we go. And now all we need to do is click on spiral, and we can press G to grab this, and just like that, opens and closes. And if you want to use a different environmental texture, you can just like and subscribe, please. You can use another one. Go to hdrhaven.com to get this environmental texture. If the gold reacts differently, once again select the spiral and press G to grab it, and there you go. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.